Did you know that you can compost a cow? A cow, an entire cow, a cow carcass. There are many things you can compost beyond kitchen scraps and yard waste, and they're not all as extreme as a cow. But it's probably the kind of stuff you haven't thought about, things that you have around your house that can be composted. And that's what I'll be discussing today. Hi, I'm GardenerScott, and I discuss everything gardening. Today, it's compost. If you don't compost, you probably should. And if you are composting, well then consider expanding some of the ingredients that you put into your pile. Like a cow. Now, I know that's really not realistic for almost all of us. But if you want to know how to compost a cow, click on the link below to a Colorado State University fact sheet that tells you exactly how to do it. It's crazy. You've heard that you shouldn't compost meat, but you really can compost just about anything that is organic. And a cow is certainly organic. I'm not going to do it, but it is an option. This is my outdoor compost setup. I also have worms that I use for composting indoors. For the most part, it's just yard waste and kitchen scraps that go into these bins. But there's a lot more around the house that can be composted. And as I go through this list, I think you're going to be surprised, especially by the last one. If something surprises you, or you think it's a great idea that you're going to try, just let me know in the comments below. And be sure to click when you like an item that I cover. Do you have a clothes dryer? Well, what do you do with all of the lint that collects after you dry your clothes? Save it up. You've got a great addition to your compost pile. This lint is made up of very small fibers that come off the clothes when they dry. And if you're drying a lot of cotton-based clothes or natural fiber clothes or materials, all these little bits that get into the lint are ready to decompose in your compost pile because they're organic. They come from plants. And here's something else you probably haven't thought of. Do you use a hairbrush? Well, all of that hair that you eventually clean out of your brush can be composted. If you have animals, a cat or a dog that you brush regularly, well, use that hair too. I like to brush Lily, collect the hair, and put it on the compost pile. Now, hair does take a long time to break down. You've probably seen that on TV shows like CSI, where the hair is always the last to break down. But it will eventually break down in the compost pile. And if not in the compost, in the soil. And if not in the soil, it's a great product for birds to use in building their nests. And so the birds might find their way into your compost pile for that hair, leave a little bit of their own manure, which benefits the pile, and then they'll move on. Either way, hair can add benefits. Do you have kids or grandkids or messy guests that just seem to drop food on the floor every time you turn around? I bet you sweep it up and throw it in the trash. Well, consider pulling out your trusty vacuum cleaner and suck it up, along with all that dirt on the floor. And for pets that shed like Lily, the vacuum cleaner is a great way to suck up that hair. All of those other little pieces, to include the skin that falls off your face and ends up being dust on the carpet, they can be composted. Now, the dirt actually doesn't decompose, but it can add to the texture and quality of your compost, in addition to adding some beneficial bacteria. Just empty your canister or bag right onto your compost pile. For many of us, a good beer can make gardening more enjoyable. And you might have heard that adding beer to your compost will improve the pile. Well, it really won't, and it's an expensive waste of a product. It does have some sugars, and yes, it'll boost the bacteria within the pile for a brief period of time, but it really doesn't add any nutrients. You've also probably heard that beer is great for catching slugs in the garden. You just bury a little can that's filled with beer, the slugs crawl in, drown, and die. And that really does work. What are you going to do with that can filled with old beer and dead slugs? Add them to the compost pile. They're kind of a smaller version of a cow carcass, and they will add nutrients to your pile. So don't just toss out those dead slugs, throw them on the pile. I think the beer and slugs might just be my favorite on this list, though you might like number 10. If you like it, go ahead and click on the thumbs up below to give me an idea that maybe you're thinking like I am. How about these? Do you recognize them? Completely compostable. Toilet paper tubes, paper towel tubes, don't throw them away, add them to your compost. It's just cardboard. And cardboard really is something to help control the carbon balance, that brown stuff that you put into the compost pile. This is perfect. And depending on how big your family is, I bet you have these piling up. Reuse it, recycle, compost it. How about old clothes? Do you have an old ratty t-shirt that you're just going to throw away? Well, don't throw it away. Put it in your compost pile. If it's made out of cotton or bamboo or any other organic material, it's perfect for composting. Now, I do suggest that you cut it into smaller pieces. That will increase the surface area and it'll decompose much faster, but don't toss it. The same with old cotton jeans that are starting to get a little worn out, or maybe they don't fit as well as they used to. Cut them up, throw them into your compost. I mean, it's a crazy addition that you can use in your garden and not have to throw them away. If you drink wine, like I do, not to excess, what do you do with the cork after it comes out of the bottle? I have friends that have a beautiful display of corks along their windowsill. Consider composting it. Natural cork comes from a cork tree. It's the bark. That means it's organic, completely compostable. Now, you do need to be careful because there are some synthetic corks out there, and you don't want to put a synthetic cork in your compost pile. It'll never break down. But the corks, the natural ones, absolutely a great addition. I do recommend cutting them into smaller pieces so that they'll break down a little bit faster. But either way, throw them in your compost. And the same holds true for old shoes. Dig into your closet. If you've got an old pair of cotton sneakers, take the sole off and use the cotton portion in the compost. But better yet, old leather boots or leather shoes. This brings us back to the cow. All leather is the skin of a cow. We know you can compost a cow, so why not compost old leather boots that are either gathering dust or something that's just taking up space in your closet? If you're not going to use it, compost it. The last crazy thing on my list just might surprise you. But then again, it might not, because there's a lot of people that use it. And if you're one of the ones that have used it, let me know below, because I'd like to see just how common it might be. The ingredient is urine. Human urine. That's right, urine. It's pouring pee on your compost pile. And it really is a great addition. Of all of the things that I've listed so far, they're carbon-based sources. They're the brown part of what you should compost. But urine is actually green. It adds nitrogen to your compost pile. So adding urine balances out the rest of the browns that you would have added so far. I think it's a great idea, and it's not as disgusting or weird as you might think. Yes, it's a little crazy. I'm not suggesting that you sneak out in the middle of the night and pee on your compost pile. The people that do this will save the urine in jars or bottles and then add to the compost as needed. Urine is sterile. It does have lots of nutrients that it's adding to the compost pile. So it is something that you should consider. You don't have to do it, but it's an option. And it is something crazy to add to your compost. There you have it. 10 crazy things that you can compost. Are you intrigued a little bit? Are you going to try one of these, if not all of them? Let me know below what you think, because it's the kind of stuff that you have around that you haven't been using, and now you can. If you have any comments or questions about what you can add to your compost pile, this list or anything else, please let me know below. If you want to see more of these gardening videos, well then subscribe to the GardenerScott channel and be sure to click on the bell so you get notified when new videos come out every week. If you like this video, well then give me a thumbs up and share it. I'm GardenerScott. Enjoy gardening.